All right, what can I tell you guys?
What can you tease us about the rest of the season?
The rest of the season, well, I would say shit's gonna get real. We are really the first half of the year, was introducing I think a lot of concepts and a lot of elements to the show, and then the back half of the year is to a certain extent paying off a lot of those conceits. And even there were little things that we were establishing and planting the seeds for that people didn't necessarily pick up on that you'll start to see come to fruition in the back half of the year. I also think, we just started to figure out the show, better, as you do with any first-year show. So, the back half of season 1, I think, is even stronger than the first half of season 1. Not that I pay too much attention to the reviews and stuff, but seems like people are in agreement the show gets better with every episode, and I kind of feel that way. In many ways, I think that's true for the vast majority of first-year shows, certainly the first-year shows I've worked on. Where you just figure it out, and it's our back half it's really strong. I'm super proud of it. Everyone's done amazing work.
Because this is a show that you really sort of have the opportunity to add some people in and out. Are you thinking about that for season 2 as far as bringing some new people into the team?
We've certainly talked about it. It's tricky because we have 8 people on that bridge right now, and it gets a little crowded. At the same time, one of the fun elements of the show is the opportunity to keep playing with people. One thing we've talked about is, do we bring in characters for multi-episode arcs, but who aren't necessarily series regulars, which would also give us, I think, more flexibility in terms of casting. So you bring in someone for, it'll all depend upon how long our second season is. This year we had 16 episodes, which is relatively short, in the grand scheme of things, certainly for network television. So if we had more episodes next year, that'll expand our storytelling possibilities, including, changes in the crew. And, you haven't seen the last, even in this year, you'll see quite a, not an insignificant number of changes, similar to what we did in episode 7, where Rory was essentially voted off the island by the team. So that's continuing. That's going to continue to be a element of the show.
What's been the learning curve? You said before the second half is better than the first, but in terms of the shows, how would you describe some of the show's strengths and weaknesses, and what you've learned from them as you've gone?
That's a great question. I think for us, we probably the strength is in the characters, our great actors, and their ability to pull off comedy so well, and to play these zany sort of moments that we craft for them in a way that grounds them. Probably the biggest challenge is maintaining that lighter tone when you've got the premise being, we know the world, is going to be conquered by Vandal Savage. We know that Rip's family is going to die. It's hard to get, it's hard to find comedic moments for Arthur, for example, who can really play comedy when, his wife and child are lost. At the same time, that creates some incredibly high emotional stakes that we are going to be really playing with in the back half of the year. So again, with a longer season in season 2, we'd also have the opportunity to really play around as much with tone as we do with time. Mm-hmm. You can do a very serious, dark episode, and you can do a very lighthearted episode. And I'm a big believer that comedy is funnier when it's grounded in drama, and drama is more dramatic when it's got comedy to lighten it.
We've heard rumors there's Birds of Prey Earth 2 in the works. The rumor came from someone in this room.
I know. But anything Earth 2 related is Flash related, and I don't work on Flash, so I don't have to answer the question.
She said you got to put it out there for you to comment on.
Is there going to be any crossovers with some of the other, with Flash or Arrow?
What am I allowed to talk about? Okay, you didn't hear this from me, okay?
Okay.
We're going to see Felicity Smoke, and we're going to see Quentin Lance on Legends. We'll be crossing over the Arrow cast. Don't tell them.
One quick question. I don't know if it's quick or not. The Vandal Savage thing, is that going to be a premise that runs throughout the entire series?
No.
It's not.
No, Vandal was always conceived of as, like we do with Flash and Arrow, he's our big bad for season 1. So we will end season 1. I'm not going to say season 1 doesn't end with a cliffhanger, but it ends with a definitive answer or end to the Vandal Savage story.
Because every time they go back in time, they have to keep going back further because Vandal's aware of it.
It's tricky. And believe me, it's not without its challenges, both from a narrative standpoint and for these characters. You'll get. We always said at the beginning of the year, when we were first promoting the show, is that you would get a definitive answer to, does Rip's family get saved? Does Vandal conquer the world? What happens to Vandal Savage? What happens to the Hawks? You're going to know all of that by the end of the year.
So is
This is going to have to be the last question, everyone. Sorry.
Okay. So Hawkman, does he ever come back? Do they find him again?
It's hard to answer that question because of the time travel element.
Okay.
I will say that Falk will be returning to the show because Kendra is going to begin to have more and more memories of her past lives with Carter.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.